with the dangerous material. SAP's national spokesperson Atslenda Mate.
Police spotted the said vehicle. They stopped it and found 26 blasting cartridges and 15 capped fuser connectors. The pair have been arrested and will appear before the Pretoria Magistrate Court on Monday.
Both men cannot be named until they appear in court on Monday. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
Retired Deputy Commissioner of Ekurhuleni Metro Police, Revo Spies, has provided crucial insight into a dodgy deal struck between acting EMPD head Julius Mkhwanazi and criminally accused tender tycoon Vusumuzi Kat Matlala. Spies began his testimony at the Madlanga Commission this afternoon. He has unpacked a letter which was penned and signed by Mkhwanazi that instructed EMPD officials in 2021 to accept and register 4 vehicles to City of Ekurhuleni donated by Matlala. This after Mkhwanazi unlawfully entered into an agreement with Matlala's security company, Cat VIP Protection. Oren Singh has the story.
Retired Deputy EMPD Commissioner Revo Spies has accused the acting head Julius Mkhwanazi of having taken a narcissistic approach in instructing EMPD officials to accept and register 4 vehicles from tender tycoon Vusumuzi Kat Matlala with the city of Ekurhuleni. In a letter dating back to October 2021, Mkhwanazi, who was acting Deputy EMPD Chief at the time, wrote and signed a letter confirming an endless working relationship between EMPD and Cat VIP Protection. The deal would subsequently see Matlala fitting several of his private security vehicles with blue lights, allowing him to operate with impunity across Gauteng. Spies says Mkhwanazi had no authority to enter into such a deal.
There will never be allowed in law, the Municipal Finance Management Act or any local government related acts, to have an endless working relationship with anyone. There is fixed terms to anything.
Spies will continue with his testimony on Monday. Arun Singh, Eyewitness News.
The Western Cape Agriculture Department has confirmed a case of foot and mouth disease on a farm near Gouda. The affected property and others have been placed under quarantine. All farms with cloven-hooved animals within a 10-kilometer radius are also under quarantine. State vet Dr. Leslie van Helden says these properties are being surveilled.
Any movement of livestock into or within the province must be reported and by law must be accompanied by an owner declaration of origin and health status and a declaration by the recipient that the animals will be isolated on arrival for at least 28 days.
And in France, 4 people have been arrested over protests which interrupted a concert by Israel's National Orchestra. According to reports, several spectators repeatedly interrupted last night's performance, including setting off red flares twice. Pro-Palestinian activists also demonstrated outside last night's performance at the Paris Philharmonic Concert Hall. The visit by the orchestra has drawn criticism from several groups ahead of the event over the recent war in Gaza. Gold is trading at $4,012.82 an ounce. The rand is at 17.35 to the dollar, 22.72 to the pound, 21.1 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $63.38 a barrel.
In your sports, Quinton de Kock records his 22nd ODI century as South Africa level their series against Pakistan, Rassie Erasmus relishing France rematch, and FIFA fines Mbegezeli Mbogazi for unsporting behaviour.
It's a cloudy Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow with isolated thunder showers. Johannesburg drops to an overnight low of 12, peaking at 22. Pretoria 13 and also reaching 22. Vereeniging is at 11 and 24. Cape Town weather tomorrow, clear skies with a gentle southeasterly, low of 19 and a high of 34. The top story in EWN this hour. Police have confirmed the arrest of a former Zimbabwean MP in Pretoria this afternoon after he was allegedly found with explosives in his vehicle.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. EWN Traffic.
Happening in traffic this afternoon, we have some heavy rains and some flooding coming in from the Pretoria West area. So if you are in that area, be very, very careful. There's an ambulance and quite a few vehicles stuck under that bridge in Pretoria West, so just be careful if you're out there. A crash on the N1 northbound before Linwood Road. The left shoulder is closed to traffic. A number of traffic lights also out in the four-ways area, and treat those as a four-way stop. You've also got localized flooding in four-ways and traffic backing up as you're heading out of four-ways this afternoon.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
And now, The Money Show
with Stephen Grootes on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA CIB, advancing Red Rocket's ambitions with Discovery Green as the off-taker to power Africa's future through affordable, renewable energy. Good evening. Welcome to the Friday edition of The Money Show. 6 minutes after 6 the time. Quite a lot going on, and we'll update you on as much of it as we can this Friday. I've always been interested in the latest sort of app, the latest AI this, the latest AI that. Some of it obviously is just nonsense. Some of it is just a sort of rebranding or a repackaging of something that's already been done or been done for a long time. This does feel very different. Discovery and Google Cloud having what's called Vitality AI. The idea, as I understand it, is that you would get very specific recommendations for your body. In other words, it wouldn't say to you, eat less or eat more or whatever it is, as it does to everybody generally. It would say it specifically to you. Now, I find that very interesting. I mean, the problem with these apps is you do actually have to follow them if that's how they're going to work. Otherwise, it's not really going to work in the way it's supposed to. But it may be, and it's certainly, I think, the first time that I can see that AI is being used in this particular way. A lot of conversations recently about travel, and I just get a sense that there's more of an appetite for travel. Maybe there's something going on in the consumer sort of space, perhaps, than there was a little while ago. Just more and more, I thought maybe it was just, me sort of, what I've been paying attention to, or maybe particular pictures that caught my eye, and that led to me getting caught in an algorithm loop. But it does seem that, in fact, that is the case. We'll talk to Standard Bank about that in about 10 minutes. Ignatius Sahule is the CEO of KPMG South Africa and KPMG One Africa. They've done a CEO outlook. They're talking about a new wave of confidence across the continent. I've noticed that too, actually. Many people seem to be feeling a little bit more confident. We'll look at the state of luxury restaurants and cuisine in South Africa. Coco Reynars, the sort of luxury chef, the person who really knows their stuff. We'll talk to them, the owner of Epicure Restaurant, and don't forget the Friday Biz Blitz to end the hour on The Money Show this Friday. Glad you're along with us. You know the number, 011 883 0702 021 446 0567, and of course voice notes tonight on 072 702 1702.
The Money Show
with Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app
and DSTV channel 856.
Well, there was a comment last night at the Future Trust Summit, and you heard Ray White's live reporting from that, from Jonathan Oppenheimer, about why government should cut red tape. And to be clear, Oppenheimer is not saying that, there should be a sort of libertarian anarchy. He's saying something very different. He's saying government should get out of the way. And I wonder if the poor man's feeling a little tired of saying it, because he had to say the same thing last year. I remember speaking to him about it on The Money Show. And it suddenly struck me that so many people have made this point. We talk about the Kasi economy, the informal economy. We talk about how so many people in this country are making a living outside the formal economy. What was it? 80% of township businesses, I think, according to Standard Bank, were not registered. Why? Because, and this is so obvious, there was nothing in it for them to register. They get literally nothing for registering. And that is, in a way, a perfect example of what Jonathan Oppenheimer is saying. That's red tape, government just seems to get in the way. And it's made me sort of realize in one of those moments something you knew all along, that government is just not listening. I remember the president saying we'll have a person in charge of cutting red tape. What happened to that? Just disappeared. Clearly got tied up in it. You have a Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition who says nothing about this Parks Tau and is virtually mute on the subject. But more than that, and I'm afraid I'm angrier with this person than with Parks Tau, because I think it's more their business. Has anyone heard anything from the Minister of Small Business Development on this issue, Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams? Does she think, maybe, for some reason, that there's just the right amount of red tape, or does she believe there should be less? Where is she? Has anyone heard anything from her on the issue of small business? I mean, she might well be speaking to communities other than the Money Show, I accept that. But I'd like to see that, please. Your thoughts, 072 702 1702.
The Money Show on 702.
Monday to Friday, 6 to 8 p.m.
Well, confirmation of what I think must be the first medical aid health app that I know of that's using AI to give you proper personal information about your health. It gives you recommendations specifically for you and your body. It's not going to be one of those things that mindlessly tells you to drink water at 6 o'clock in the evening when you're over a certain age. Emil Stipp is the Global Chief Actuary and Managing Director of Vitality AI. Emil, good evening. This is the result of a partnership with Google Cloud. What does it actually do?
Thanks very much for the opportunity, and great to speak to you. So what it does is it takes the capabilities and the sort of global nature, just the size of Google and its sophistication, and we're building an AI platform for all of our global businesses on a consistent technology. But the main aim of it is exactly as you said. We want to personalize the lifestyle and health advice for people, speak to them at the right time about the things that are really important to them. And to do that, we obviously have a huge amount of data we've developed over the years in Vitality in order to make that call, to say what is most important for you now. Is it to get your cancer screening? Is it to sleep better? Is it to start exercising? Whatever is most important, we want to communicate that in a very sophisticated way to our customers.
I presume AI is like all other software, garbage in, garbage out. You have to make sure that you get the right information into it first. How would you go about doing that? There are plenty of apps that ask me my weight. They then do all sorts of calculations that may or may not be wrong. This would need much more information than that.
That's right. And I guess that's the one advantage that we have. So if you think about what we have in Discovery, we've been paying claims for decades for people. There's a lot of information that's part of that, diagnosis, pathology, the procedures that you have, the medication that you're taking, all of that's in the data. But we also have, for many years, we've encouraged people to exercise, for argument's sake. And those are verified activities because it's based on devices, right? So we know what people actually do. And the key thing here is that we can then see what happens if your habits change. So let's say you go for a run only once a week on a Sunday morning. We encourage you with the incentives to try and increase your activity levels, and you get up to 4 times a week. With the benefit of the data we have, we can then say, well, this will reduce your in-hospital cost by, for argument's sake, 28%. And what it means is that reduction is what we can share back with you in the rewards. We can give you free coffee every week if you follow the advice. If you get discounts on Oura rings now that would help you to sleep better. There's all of these benefits built into it, and that's how the whole thing works.
So it does what you do now, but it's much more sophisticated, much more personalized, and presumably much more effective.
That's right. So, if you think about it, as you grow older, what we saw in the data is that it becomes harder for people to adopt new lifestyle habits. So for many years, the world has been telling everybody do 10,000 steps a day. But if you're 65 and you've never done that in your life, no matter what rewards we give, you're not going to do it tomorrow. So we have to start at a different level and then build it up over time. But the thing about that is that human behavior is complex. You might hit your targets this week, but next week you don't. So we need to adapt to what people actually do. To do that effectively in practice, you need AI. And also, we need to communicate to people. So we need to talk to them in a very specific way about their activities in the last week and how it should change, and take into account all the other complex things that happen in their lives. Are they diabetic? Do they have high blood pressure? Are they sleeping well? So it's really the completeness of it that introduced the need for AI. But the amazing thing about this technology is that it can actually handle that complexity and get it right.
Sorry to interrupt, but what would be useful, I would think, is if the app can tell from your location where you've been this week, if you've done 3 days where you've been doing 10, 12, 12-hour days at work, it knows not to recommend a run first thing the next morning because you're just not going to be in the mood for it. We're talking about something that really needs to understand exactly what you've been doing.
Yeah, it's often not necessary to understand it to that level of detail because we can infer from your actual behavior what you're likely to do. So if you're one of those people that unfortunately has a long commute, then it needs to focus on things that you're likely to do. So a big part of what we're building into this also is your own propensities. It learns from what you actually do. Then based on those propensities, it recommends things that you are likely to do, and where your behavior needs to change, it makes it easier for you to do it, or it focuses on other things. So one of the things that we see from the data now, which is why we launched our sleep benefit 4 weeks ago in South Africa, is the first market that we're going live with it. We can see so clearly that sleep has a massive impact on your healthcare risks, and it's additive to exercise. So, in other words, there's a lot of people that exercise rigorously. They're very faithful runners, for argument's sake, but they don't necessarily sleep well. And it's often something that is easier to change in some respects, because we can also see from the data consistency of bedtime is the most important thing to establish a new sleep habit. And it's those sort of things. When you build in more of these devices, what becomes very obvious to people then is how they can change their behavior, and then they get not only the incentive and the reward that Vitality gives them, but also the benefit of just feeling better.
Sure.
So it becomes a natural habit thereafter, and that's how the whole thing builds to a better lifestyle.
Emil Stipp, thank you so much. Global Chief Actuary and Managing Director of Vitality AI.
702. Stephen is on X.
At Stephen Grootes.
Well, the KPMG 2025 CEO Outlook Africa edition showing this week that nearly 80% of CEOs on our continent are feeling actually very confident about the future of their businesses. 98% of them expect their businesses to expand over the next 3 years. Ignatius Sehule is the CEO of KPMG South Africa and the CEO of KPMG One Africa. Ignatius, good evening. Good to talk to you on the Money Show. This is a very confident picture. Where is this confidence coming from?
Good evening, Stephen, and good evening to your listeners. Stephen, I think, as you know, the global markets are in turbulence, one way or the other. It doesn't matter which lens you look at it. And I think it's part of what makes CEOs look a bit closer home here in the continent. I think the opportunities, and not only as you look at the CEOs, you see in the marketplace wave after wave of investors coming to have a look in the continent to see what the opportunities are. And it's simply because, the grass is no longer green at the other side.
I mean, there's quite a lot of optimism about economic growth in Africa. 63% of the CEOs you spoke to are confident their country's economy will grow. I mean, that's a very high figure. That's a lot more confident, I imagine, than CEOs in South Africa.
It is, and I think it's also fueled, among other things, by the deployment of capital that has started like in the past 18 months, with capital being deployed here in the continent more than it's. I mean, in the past we always lamented the capital flight that has been leaving the continent and going elsewhere. That has kind of stabilized, and in actual fact, the capital is coming back here. And not only does that then show up the confidence of our local CEOs, but there's also investment houses around the world that keep on coming here. I mean, it was the same at the Africa CEO Forum in Cote d'Ivoire, where you had lots of people coming here to come and have a look at what the opportunities might be, because it's now become a destination of opportunity as opposed to the Afro-pessimism that has been hitting us as a continent for quite some years.
There's some signs that our economy might start growing, but I do wonder if we're at risk really of falling behind other African economies. Some of them are growing much more quickly than ours is. I realize we're more industrialized, but they're growing so much faster than us.
Yeah, that's true. I think when you look at the averages, the growth in Africa, the average is showed by everybody else but us. We actually breaking down the average as a country, and as you know, Stephen, for us, and we all want to grow. I mean, even if we go at 2%, it would be kind of in the right direction. But given our unemployment and all of that, we need minimum 4% growth to be able to absorb all this. But you know the challenges that we have, and it appears ESCOM might be on the right track in terms of fixing. one of the things that we've got to realize, Stephen, is even if the capital is now destined to come here, there has to be other developments like getting our housing oriented with electricity and whatever for that investment to actually make a difference and for the economy to start growing. Like I say, it appears, we seem to be heading the right direction with ESCOM, but there's many other institutions that we need to fix in this country.
Jonathan Oppenheimer said last night, I don't know if you saw it, Ignatius, he said, we should stop letting red tape get in the way of entrepreneurs. For you, is that an issue?
Oh, it is. It's a big issue, Stephen. And just your average SA citizen, they will tell you, every citizen you can ask, they will tell you the amount of red tape that affects them in their personal life. It's not different for business. It's actually everywhere. And the sooner we really get our act together as a country, and this I'm talking to government, and get rid of this red tape, the better. And I'm not too sure because in different fora as business we talk to government. I can't really put my hand on it as what is it that's holding the government up and getting rid of red tape. Because I'm sure, like us, I would like to believe the government wants this economy to grow. So why not take the steps that you should take in order to make to release the economy and make this attractive destination of capital?
Thank you very much indeed, Ignatius. Really appreciate the comment and the thoughts. Ignatius Sihole is the CEO of KPMG South Africa and CEO of KPMG One Africa. For your time on The Money Show, thank you.
702. Stephen is on The Money Show.
6 to 8 p.m.
23 after 6. Well, earlier in the week, you heard the number of tourists coming to South Africa has surged during the middle of the year. More evidence now that, in fact, South Africans, you and I, are traveling more than we did as well and spending a lot more money doing it. Michelle Monemo is the head of private bank client value propositions at Standard Bank South Africa. Michelle, good evening. Your clients are spending tens of billions of rand on travel. Where's the money going? What are they spending it on?
Hey, Stephen. Good evening, and thank you for having me on your show. So certainly clients are traveling more. And this is a global phenomenon. It's not just in South Africa that we're seeing this. And you're quite right about the statistics that were published recently around South Africa. What we're seeing is clients are traveling a lot more regionally. So Mozambique, Zanzibar, Botswana is particularly popular. And what we're seeing is clients are looking to take more breaks more frequently during the year, rather than one long break, which costs them a lot more money. Of course, international destinations continue to be popular, the UK and the US, but we are certainly seeing a surge in regional as well as domestic locations. Cape Town, of course, continues to be one of the top destinations that we see our clients traveling to.
I presume most people are flying where they can. You can obviously drive to Mozambique, but it is quicker to fly.
Absolutely. So we do see a lot of clients opting to fly. And again, because they're looking to take shorter breaks more frequently, they do want to get there a lot quicker. So flying becomes a lot more appealing than driving there. So again, destinations like Botswana, like Zanzibar are particularly appealing. So you get to see a little bit more outside South Africa, but you don't have to spend a lot more rather than going overseas, for example.
Has this growth surprised you? It seems to be happening at the same time as international tourism growth to South Africa. So I don't know if it's a pull factor, I suppose what you'd call a supply factor, or whether it's just people just now want to travel and feel they must.
I think what we've seen, Stephen, is what we thought was revenge travel. You remember that term, post-COVID, which I think we all thought would be something that would kind of tapered down, has sustained itself over time. And there are a few things that have contributed to that. I think social media has been a big contributor to that. The fact that you can now see a world of possibilities in social media that you probably wouldn't have seen before. It has really encouraged people to travel a lot more. I think what's great about social media as well is you get to see places that are already reviewed for you and are kind of filtered in terms of quality and where to go and certain experiences in a different location without having to be there. So it's a lot easier to actually filter out in terms of locations to go, places to go than it was before. What has also become really prevalent is what COVID did is it highlighted the importance of well-being to people. So part of that is travel. And that is the reason why a lot of people want to do a lot more travel, a lot more frequently than what we saw before COVID.
So interesting. Michelle, thanks very much indeed. Michelle Monemo is the head of private bank client value propositions at Standard Bank South Africa. I mean, one hopes that money is flowing into the South African economy, that we're seeing a bit of a growth there. And so many times this point has been made. Tourism is one thing that can grow our economy and employ people because you don't have to manufacture here. You don't necessarily have to have a qualification. You can be a tour guide or whatever it is without having to go through any kind of tertiary process. So a lot to think about there.
The Money Show.
The markets.
Patrick Matidi is head of multi-asset strategies at Alawani Capital Partners. Patrick, good evening. The Vashini Group, I mean, to look at the sort of bare numbers, their revenue was up 12%, their earnings was up nearly 13%, but their headline earnings were down significantly and they got punished for it.
Yeah, good evening, Stephen. Thanks for having me. They did kind of give guidance a few weeks ago that the numbers, would be perhaps a little worse than expected. But I think what happened now with the full numbers coming through for the interims is that the margins have actually gone backwards. So we're seeing a contraction in margins, and they attribute that to bad fashion, which leads to discounting or heavy discounting. So that's clearly not a good, sign for a retailer. You want to get your fashion right and get the stuff out of, your shelves as quick as possible. And if you miss and you are overstocked, then you kind of need to discount quite heavily, to make room for the next season stock to come in. So I think that's the one blob that actually tarnished the numbers. If you look at the rest of the business, it's sort of okay. Nice growth online versus in-store sales. So we're seeing that trend come through across most retailers. But I think they need to do a lot of work out of the UK business. So we're seeing that a little bit flat if you take the acquisition out, but clearly buoyed by the acquisition that they made in this reporting period. But if you look on a like-for-like basis, clearly there's no growth in that market.
There's a lot going on in the US tonight. I mean, normally we would be talking about non-farm payroll numbers. They didn't come out because of the shutdown. Is that now starting to have an impact? I mean, certainly markets have been weighed down this week.
Yeah, absolutely. It is having an impact because, if you look at the Fed, they are due to meet, I think, the next couple of weeks or so. So until such time as they get reliable information, they are literally flying blind and having to make, policy in the absence of credible information. So we do need, especially the labor market, where it has shown signs of a bit of a wobbly. Some saying, that is due to the impact of AI in terms of that on the jobs market. But besides that, we do need to have some visibility on the jobs market, which is currently, top of mind when it comes to monetary policy. To the extent that the shutdown continues, clearly that is not good, in terms of economic data, and whatever numbers may come through may not be as reliable because we do not have a full staff complement actually doing the surveys as per normal.
Next week, we've got the medium-term budget policy statement. From what I can see, there doesn't seem to be any political argument in the national coalition about what to expect.
No, I think hopefully that side of the equation has been sorted. But what we do need is we need a firm view from the finance minister on the slow inflation target. And then also, if you look at other, indicators, if you look at the tax collections, if you look at the current account, if you look at the trade balances, it does point to a much better fiscal situation unfolding. So hopefully the guidance going forward is that of lower debt, which is good, especially for the bond market and the currency.
Patrick Matidi, thanks very much indeed. Head of multi-asset strategies at Alawani Capital Partners, bringing the time to 6:30. Time for the latest Eyewitness News. Zakona Miso, good evening.
Good evening, Steve. We'll begin on the weather front. Joburg Emergency Services are calling on motorists to practice caution on the road with heavy downpours expected this evening. The Weather Service has forecast thunderstorms for Gauteng, parts of Mpumalanga and KwaZulu-Natal. It's warning the conditions can lead to hail, localized flooding and damaging winds. Joburg EMS spokesperson Robert Murawudzi.
Our faith-based organizations, we are pleading with them to avoid going into river streams to conduct baptisms and cleansing rituals so that we can prevent situations where people congregants might be swept away while conducting these baptisms and cleansing rituals.
Meanwhile, in the capital, Tshwane emergency services are also on high alert with severe thunderstorms on the way. Officials are urging residents to practice caution under the wet conditions. EMS spokesperson Nanaka Debekhiba has advised residents to stay indoors.
We would like to urge communities to remain alert and to avoid seeking shelter under isolated trees, not to cross flooded roads, not to cross flooded bridges, and also to avoid crossing streams.
Former Public Enterprises Minister Malusi Gigaba says he's willing to cooperate with the law enforcement agencies as they investigate corruption allegations against him. Gigaba met with the investigating directorate against corruption today over claims that he received undue benefits while serving as minister between 2010 and 2014. Earlier today, Gigaba posted on social media that he'd been summoned to appear in court. However, IDAC has since clarified that he's not been charged at this stage. Alpha Ramashwana has the story.
At around 7 o'clock in the morning, ANC NEC member Malusi Gigaba announced on social media that the NPA had notified him that he was being charged with procurement-related corruption. However, the investigating directorate against corruption later clarified that Gigaba has not been charged and will not be appearing in court today. Gigaba now says that during his engagement with IDAC, officials informed him that they are investigating allegations that he received undue benefits while serving as Minister of Public Enterprises. The MP says he will cooperate fully with the ongoing investigation, but maintains that he has done nothing wrong. Gigaba insists that the probe does not relate to any decisions he made in his capacity as minister. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
And now further afield in France, 4 people have been arrested over protests which interrupted a concert by Israel's National Orchestra. According to reports, several spectators repeatedly interrupted last night's performance, including setting off red flares twice. Pro-Palestinian activists also demonstrated outside the performance at the Paris Philharmonic Concert Hall. The visit by the orchestra has drawn criticism from several groups ahead of the event over the recent war in Gaza. It's a cloudy Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow with isolated thunder showers, lows of between 11 and 13 degrees and highs of between 22 and 24. Your top story on EWN. Joburg Emergency Services are calling on motorists to practice caution on the road with heavy downpours expected this evening.
EWN Traffic.
Happening in traffic this afternoon, there's a crash on the N3 north at London Road and a crash on the R21 northbound before the Oa Tambo interchange. You've got the right lane affected there and you can expect delays. Several traffic signals out in the Four West area and some localized flooding and traffic backing up. It's going to be a nightmare coming out of Four West. Also, Pretoria West reports of heavy flooding coming in and from that area. We got a crash in Cape Town on the N7 at Bosmansdam. The left lane is obstructed and traffic signals faulty in the Western Cape. In Deep River at Main Road and White Road, and in Brackenfell, Amundle Road and Bottler Ray Road is out.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Beyond every boardroom is a story waiting to be written. A story of a business and its potential, of a community that thrives, a hospital that serves, and energy that powers millions of dreams. It's a story that only gets better with a partner that has the expertise and solutions to make it a reality. At ABSA CIB, we are invested in your story, and we invite you to write it with us, because your story matters. ABSA, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Enjoy the thrill of the Soccer Punches Challenge Weekend Edition, an all-new platform from Hollywood Bets. You stand a chance to win a share of the 5 million rand jackpot when you bet 5 rand or more on selected EPL matches over the weekend and correctly predict 10 out of 10 winning margins. Or chase the share of the 50,000 rand leaderboard prize. Entry is free. Let this soccer season bring sizzling success. Bet now.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is licensed by the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Satane, you've just graduated cum laude, but nothing says you're a genius quite like selling your car to We Buy Cars.
Absolutely. My car was an 18th birthday present and
And it's time to move on to something a bit more mature.
So where did you hear about WeBuyCars?
All of my friends are using WeBuyCars. I would have had legit FOMO if I hadn't used them. And it was so quick. I did it on my laptop while sending around my CV.
Smart move, Tone. Graduated and upgraded. WeBuyCars. Geared for success. Geared for you.
EWN Sport.
Solakela, good evening. How are the Proteas looking?
Well, Stephen, they'll look to win their series against Pakistan when they clash in the third and final ODI tomorrow. South Africa levelled up the clash with an 8-wicket win yesterday. That's thanks to Quinton de Kock's 22nd century. Tony Dezorzi added a further 76 as the Proteas reached their victory target with 9.5 overs to spare.
Batting with Quinny is pretty special. When he's in full flight, I don't know many batters that are more scared to face the opposition because he hits the ball everywhere and so instinctive. It's incredible to be on the other side watching, and he gave me a lot of advice during that whole partnership. At the beginning, it was tailing a bit when I came in, just got a wicket. So his advice was critical, and it was quite cool because I remember when I was 14 at Cares, he was playing on the opposite field against Waterkloof. So I never thought I'd be batting with him for South Africa.
Rassie Erasmus has made 6 changes to the Springbok team for tomorrow's outgoing tour test against France, including Boan Venter replacing Oxenchair at loosehead prop. Kobus Reina starts at scrum half and is expecting a fierce battle against the team who are seeking revenge for their 2023 World Cup defeat.
They are going to be charged. They haven't forgotten about the 2023 World Cup, and we haven't forgotten about it as well. It's a rugby game which we all look back to. We all learn out of it and prepare for the following games. So, yes, they're going to be charged up, but their emotion and what they have in their camp, like Rassie said, cannot affect us. It cannot affect our way of preparing for the game.
A spot in the Carling knockout finals on the line when Richards Bay go up against Orlando Pirates tomorrow, while Golden Arrows host Marumo Gallants on Sunday. Having earned the moniker of Cup Kings in recent season, Adam Slamwaju has warned his Buccaneers against complacency.
Since you didn't play the game, you cannot pretend to go to the final. For me, it's very important to prepare well the game, to analyze very well the opponent, and to respect all the teams. I think it will be very, very tough game tomorrow because, first of all, we are in Durban, so they will have this proud to play strongly that game against Orlando Pirates.
In the Premier League, the 2 big games of the weekend see Manchester United up against Tottenham Hotspur, while Manchester City clash with Liverpool. Ruben Amorim has won the League Manager of the Month award for October, while Brian Bomo won the Player Award, having netted 3 goals. And with United out of Europe this season and not involved in the League Cup, Amorim has discussed if the schedule has made life easier for his rebuild.
It's not the fact of seeing the positive, it's using the positives. So any situation that you have in our life, you can look in the positive way or in the bad way. If you ask me, you prefer to be here with a cup in Champions League, more money, more players, maybe. Of course, I would say yes, but you have the other side. You have more time to train, to know your players, to arrange everything, the connection between staff and prepare the future.
Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
702 with Stephen Grootes.
Email him on stephen@702.co.za.
21 minutes to 7. Well, being the money show, we should probably make a comment or two about Elon Musk. And that's not just a general statement, but about the fact that around 20 hours ago or so now, shareholders of Tesla voted, or 75% of them did, to give him a corporate pay package that essentially comes to $1 trillion. Now, I say it comes to that. He has to make certain payments to get there. Certain things need to happen. And what it really boils down to is $878 billion. But I think by the time you get to that point, it doesn't really matter. And this, I think, really gets to a much bigger and, dare I say, philosophical point about the value of money. I would imagine when you start talking about corporate pay packets, corporate salaries, what one person supposedly earns, and I put earns in inverted commas because it's really all about share prices. When they get $1 trillion, it's monopoly money. And that's not a snarky comment about electric cars. That's really just money that's virtually meaningless. That level of value just becomes absolutely meaningless. It just doesn't mean anything when you say that. I mean, it's just nonsense. It's a headline and nothing more. And I'm reminded of research quoted often by Malcolm Gladwell. You'll know the thinker, the journalist, who people often talk about this, and maybe it's just to make us ordinary mortals who, didn't go to school in Tshwane feel a little bit better about what really is the level of money, the amount of money that actually brings you the most happiness. And it doesn't seem to be the vast amounts of money. Certainly doesn't seem to be the Elon Musk levels of money. It seems to be, and this is in sort of American terms and US dollar terms now, a point beyond which basic needs are met and will be met for the foreseeable future. I suppose what you're really talking about is every broadcast by Warren Ingram ever, which is how you know you've got enough money in retirement. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. In the United States, that's sort of seen as around $108,000 a year. That would be the income. After that, of course, other factors matter far much more. What's happening to your family, how your children are doing, are you getting on with everybody, are you fighting? Many other factors. Your health obviously is a big factor, and your wealth can add to your health, and obviously, well, there's some things that your wealth can't fix. So Elon Musk is very happy, I'm sure, with his $1 trillion. His family life is, let me be charitable here, a bit of a mess. And difficult and complicated, and only going to get more complicated as he gets older. I mean, some of the estimates of how many children he's had are just unbelievable. So I can't help but think, well done to Elon Musk, your $1 trillion, if that's what does it for you. But it's monopoly money. It doesn't really have value. Do you agree? Do you not? 072 702 1702.
Ha, guys, you must know your till slip is gonna get even longer. That new discount better rewards card gets you 10% off instantly. Hey, but now, on top of that discount, you get an extra 5% off on over 140 brands. You just hand in your script or shop from the pharmacy. With 15% off instantly at the till. Your discount till slip never looked better. How nice, man.
Before a masterpiece takes shape, there's a single line that starts it all, until every curve and every angle reflects the clarity of a single vision. And only then does inspiration take its final form. The all-new Audi A5, designed to inspire. Starting from $14,499 per month with a guaranteed future value. Visit audi.co.za or your nearest dealer for more. T's and C's apply.
Small businesses are anything but small. They're the backbone of our communities, the dreamers, the doers, the ones who keep Mzansi moving forward. That's why 702 and Capitec Business Banking are putting them in the spotlight. Every Thursday between 6 and 8 p.m., catch Small Business Focus with Capitec, where we showcase the hustle, heart, and the secrets to thriving in today's economy. Your vision matters, and with Capitec, you're never building it alone. Small Business Focus with Capitec, the business bank for everyone. Thursdays between 6 and 8 p.m. on 702. Capitec Bank is an authorized FSP 46669.
The Money Show.
The Friday File.
The Friday File.
16 minutes now to 7 the time. Well, while you're thinking about how much money is your happiness point, we thought might be a moment to just check in with the state of fine dining in South Africa. It's a sector that's become more and more important, has its trends like everyone else's, and it may just be me, but I sometimes sort of feel it's really become more of a Western Cape thing than a Gauteng thing over the last few years. But as I say, maybe you're speaking to the wrong focus group. Chef Coco Reynas is the owner of Epicure Restaurant. Chef, good evening. Good to talk to you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Good evening to you and the listeners.
I think as South Africans, we like to feel we're quite sort of special when it comes to fine dining. We can hold our own. We can compete against anybody. How would you say our standards are holding up? Are we holding up?
We are definitely holding up, and I actually think that it's we actually even above most of the country in the world. I still just don't know how we manage to not have Michelin star recognition while we have restaurants which are in the top 50 list of San Pellegrino. So I really don't understand that. But I think South Africa as a country, we have actually much more than it takes to have top fine dining restaurants.
And maybe it's a bad week, Chef, to talk about how the French feel about South Africa at the moment. We'll know tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Do you find, and I made this point and it's a personal point, and I'm no expert on fine dining, I've hardly experienced it, but is there a big difference between what we see as fine dining in the Western Cape and fine dining in Gauteng? I have this perception that fine dining is much more now of a Cape Town thing.
So you're right in a way. I always say that Cape Town has an unfair advantage over Johannesburg. Even when I take it personal, you understand? So the moment I arrive in Cape Town, the moment they open that airplane door, okay, I get hit by that, I would say, iodine weather that is in Cape Town. That's really relaxed me. I'm already relaxed, okay? Fine dining is not something that you need to rush. You need to take your time, enjoy every little second. While here in Johannesburg, we are in the concrete jungle of a sort. You understand? So it's really different to enjoy a restaurant in Johannesburg and in Cape Town. But I must say, for me, when I want like a fine dining experience rather than a fine dining restaurant, I will definitely think of Cape Town first because of the surrounding, the reason I'm going to Cape Town. I'm not working there, I'm on holiday. All that, I'm sure, play a role in the way that the food itself tastes.
Could it also be that there is a bigger market because there are more people who have a foreign currency who are not paying in rands, I suspect, in Cape Town than in Johannesburg, and that means the restaurants will follow the market?
Not only that, because if you look at, if it's just purely because of money, okay, there's more money made in Johannesburg than in Cape Town. So you have more rich people in Johannesburg than in Cape Town. So it's not just that, okay? It play a role because you have more foreign visitors in Cape Town than in Johannesburg, yes. But if it was just for the value or whatever, you have more money in Johannesburg than in Cape Town. I think so. I might be wrong, but I think so. It's not just about the money. It's really about the concept of fine dining, yes.
So most of us have an image of fine dining. We see the pictures, we see the ads, but we don't actually have the experience of it. So I suppose what I'm trying to get to is, for 100 Rand, you can have a pretty good pizza, I suppose. Maybe our tastes are a bit different, chef. But why should you look at spending money on a fine dining experience? I mean, I get the idea of a special night, an anniversary or something like that. But is there a very specific thing you should be looking for when you are selecting a fine dining experience? You haven't done it before, you've maybe done it once or twice. This is the first time you're looking at one of the restaurants yourself. What would you be looking for?
Definitely. There's a huge difference between 100 Rand.
Chef, I'm just going to ask you to move around a little bit to just try and improve the signal on your cell phone. I'm sorry about this. It does happen sometimes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. That's a lot better. I think you were saying there's a big difference between fine dining and the pizza, and I'm very glad to hear it.
Yes, because it's an occasion. You cannot eat in a fine dining restaurant every day. It's not possible financially, and because it's not something special. When you look for something special, it has to be not necessarily for an occasion like birthday or whatever, but it's not something that you can have every day. Otherwise, it doesn't become special anymore. You understand? So me, what I look for, it's what product are they using? What is the setup of that restaurant? What is the service? Okay? Because to people, when they look for food, it's not just the food. It's about this. I really think the service plays a much bigger role of a success of a dining restaurant than the food itself. Obviously, you're not going to appeal in a fine dining environment and ask me to pay 1,000 Rand just because it's beautiful, the setting is beautiful. No. The ingredient that you have, but the service for me a huge role in a fine dining experience.
Chef, I'm sorry, I'm just going to ask you to move around again. We do seem to be losing you, but let's just try and continue this conversation if we can. The Michelin star, which is, it started in France, it's a restaurant guide. It really matters. We've had a couple of Michelin star restaurants in South Africa.
We never had, sorry.
Oh, we never had. My mistake.
Never had. We never had. Yeah.
You make the point that you're surprised by that. There must be some that are in contention. And I mean, there's been times when I forget, I think it was called, was it called the Strandloper or something like that? Where a restaurant's been declared the best in the world, and it's been in South Africa.
It is. That's what I don't understand. We have in South Africa, I think we still have every years we have like 2 or 3 restaurants which are in the top 50 restaurant of the world, okay? But still, there is no Michelin star restaurant in South Africa, which is, for me, it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. But
we seem to have lost, I think, Chef there. Chef Coco Reynars, thanks very much indeed. I do appreciate that. The owner of Epicure Restaurant, I'm sorry that conversation was a little bit mangled by the cell phone, but that does happen sometimes, and we do just need to, I think, move on there. But I think you got the general gist. I have to say, I mean, I'm no expert on this, but whenever you have a ratings guide and one sort of organization seems to have a kind of absolute power, I always get a little nervous about those kinds of things. I do think that's where you need to be a little bit concerned, actually, and that might well have happened with the Michelin guide. And I know here in South Africa there's actually a rating system, and I think it was one food writer at the Daily Maverick, I seem to recall, who actually sort of had a go, and everything changed as the result of journalism of one person. So that can happen, and you do get a sense that actually maybe. The Michelin guide system does need to change. Of course, what you would do is you would create a competitor. Someone would put some money behind it. You would create a competing kind of rating system and let them go. Let them see what happens. People around the world are very interested in fine dining rating systems. People spend a lot of time and money thinking about it. It's a bit like wine. And for that reason, they sort of keep going. Anyway. Very interesting subject that we've been talking about tonight. It's just going 6 minutes now to 7 o'clock.
Stephen Grootes.
Taking your calls
on 011-883-0702.
Time for the Friday Biz Blitz this evening on The Money Show. You know how it works. You call us. We put out a question. You call us. If you get the answer right, we move on to the next question. If you get it wrong, we move on to the next caller. You know the number, 011-883-0702, 021-446-0567. First question on the Friday Biz Blitz this evening. Nkosana Makate is the inventor of which short text messaging service that was used by Vodacom? Nkosana Makate is the inventor of which short text messaging service which was used by Vodacom? It's been the big story of the week. First question on the Friday Biz Blitz tonight.
Calling all wedding planners and venues, restaurants, conference centers, and hotels. Do you need tables and chairs? Home in One has it all. Do you need cutlery, crockery, table linen, and restaurant equipment? Home in One has it all. Do you need tents, gazebos, or umbrellas? Home in One has it all. Affordable prices, the latest trends, with 2 branches in Pretoria and Johannesburg. Shop online at homein1.co.za because we're your #1 choice. Home in One has it all.
Who says everyday driving can't be très chic? Rent premium with Sani 60 now. Own the stylish Citroen C3 later. Yes, that's 3 cars, 3 months, 3 chances to say ooh la la. Just book directly on sani.co.za. Call us or rent at any branch between 1 November and 31 January, and you're automatically entered into the draw. Bon voyage with Sani Sixt and Win. T's and C's apply.
The Dial-A-Bed Black Friday sale is now on with 20% off absolutely everything. Start Black Friday shopping today and save thousands on all our best brands. 40 Winks, Sealy, Simmons, Dunlopillow, King Coil in all sizes, all less 20% and all ready for fast delivery. Dial-A-Bed. Sleep for life.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA CIB, advancing Red Rocket's ambitions with Discovery Green as the off-taker to power Africa's future through affordable, renewable energy.
The Money Show, Friday Biz Blitz.
011 883 0702 021 446 0567. First question tonight on the Friday Biz Blitz. Nkosana Makate is the inventor of which short text messaging service for Vodacom? And he's been very much in the news this week. Nkosana Makate, the inventor of which short text messaging service for Vodacom? What was the name of it? We've got questions too about a possible trillionaire, around a fintech company. We have cell phone networks. There's also a question around what may or may not be happening on markets. There's a question about France as well to come on the Friday Biz Blitz. But we do have to get past our first question, which is Nkosana Makate is the inventor of which short text messaging service, and of course it involved Vodacom, which has been the big story this week. Nkosana Makate is the inventor of which short text messaging service for Vodacom. You know the number, 011 883 0702 021 446 0567. And of course it is the question that people have been thinking about, and there's been a lot of discussion about this this week. Let's go to Mampe. Mampe, hi, do you know the answer?
Yes, the answer is Vodacom's Please Call Me service.
Of course it is, Mampe. Yes, it is the Please Call Me service. Okay, second question. Name the South African-born businessman who is set to be the world's first trillionaire.
Elon Musk.
Of course it's Elon Musk. OPA, this is a more interesting question, Mampe. OPA is the JSE trading company, is the trading code of which fintech company that listed on the JSE this week. So a fintech company listed on the JSE this week. OPA is its JSE code name. What's the name of the company?
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh, Mampe. I'm sorry. Let's go to Hale. Hale, hi.
Hello.
Hello. Is it Haley rather than Hale?
Yes.
My mistake.
Right.
Okay, Haley. Haley, OPA is the JSE trading code of which fintech company?
I don't have that answer.
Oh.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, Haley. Let's try Teggy. Teggy, hi.
Hi.
Hi, do you know the answer? OPA? It's the company that listed this week?
Oh, I thought I was going to answer about this thing,
Yeah. I'm sorry.
It's a tech company.
Yes. Who's Teggy, who's helping you? You can put them on the line if you want.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a tech company from UAB that
yes,
listed this year in
yes. What's it called? What's it called, Teggy's friend?
She was I don't know, I forgot the name.
Okay, what's your name?
My name is Paul.
All right, Paul. Thank you. You and Teggy. Thank you. Okay. Mandla in Rosebank. Mandla, OPA stands for?
Optasia.
Oh, of course it is. Okay. Which of the following telecommunications companies is not listed on the JSE? MTN, Vodacom, Cell C, Telkom. Which of those is not on the JSE?
Cell C.
Mandla, it is indeed Cell C. You're a winner on the line from Rosebank.
This is EWN.
Good evening, I'm Zikona Miso. Police have confirmed the arrest of a former Zimbabwean MP in Pretoria this afternoon after he was allegedly found with explosives in his vehicle. The politician was arrested alongside a 78-year-old man. The pair face a charge of possession of explosives and are expected to appear in court on Monday. Tabiso Koba has more.
The arrested Zimbabwean politician is a former opposition leader in his home country and one of the fiercest critics of the ZANU-PF government. At this stage, it is still unclear where the 53-year-old politician and his accomplice were taking the explosives to. Police say they pounced on the pair after receiving a tip-off they were driving around Pretoria with the dangerous material. SAP's national spokesperson Atlenda Mate.
Police spotted the said vehicle. They stopped it and found 26 blasting cartridges and 15 capped fuser connectors. The pair have been arrested and will appear before the Pretoria Magistrate Court on Monday.
Both men cannot be named until they appear in court on Monday.